Hello, my name is Monica Price and welcome to the show and to Rockefellers TV. Now, if you watched my show just a couple of years ago, I interviewed the legendary Jeff Skunk Baxter, and I'm very pleased to say that he's joining me today. So welcome to the show again, Jeff.
Thank you for your hospitality.
Lovely
it's delightful to be back, my
Really
dear.
love it. In fact, I think it was just over 2 years, they've just gone by.
Before I released the solo
It was,
project, yeah.
Yes, that's right, Speed of Heat. So how is it going? How is that album going?
I can't be happier.
Yeah, it's a really good album. And your first solo album.
Yes.
Took you a long time.
13 years.
Just a few years.
Yeah.
But it's fine. Were you pleased with it, Jeff, when it sort of came to fruition and you started to sell the records? Were you happy with it?
Well, the record, again, doing pretty well. We started to go on tour, been out playing.
Yeah.
That's been a lot of fun. Again, I'm amazed anybody cares what I have to say or play. But people seem to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And because I do a lot of narration,
Yeah.
I guess we call it narration. I'm just telling stories in between the songs. When I would, sign autographs or meet and greet after the shows, people said, we love the music and we really love the stories. So I remember when I was a kid, my dad gave me a copy of the Bobby Darin Story album, which Bobby Darin narrated each song before it played. And I thought, well, that's a cool idea. So I mentioned it to the record company, and they said, yeah, let's go do that.
That's a great
idea. So we're
idea.
Re-releasing the album, the narrative version, in October with little stories in between each track.
And what a great idea. Because the audience, it's a way of engaging as well, isn't it, with the audience? So for you're just telling a story, and they're probably just wrapped into what you're talking about. Now, one of my favourite tracks is Juliet.
Oh.
So tell me about the story. How did that one come about?
Well, it actually came about because I love the sound of the electric guitar just plugged into the recording console, clean, sparkly, just the way it should be.
Yeah.
Obviously with the little effects that we used on Juliet, but I wanted to highlight the tone of the instrument because it's much easier to be expressive when you don't have a lot of crap going on. So I wrote the song with my friend CJ Vanston, who co-produced the record with me and did a lot of the playing as well. And we used to just get together and play. We learned a long time ago back when we were doing commercials in Chicago, that we could write music on the fly, which is a good thing, especially when the producer may not be 100% there. But it worked out very well, so we would get together and just write. And Juliet came out of one of those just sit down and see what happens sessions.
Just a beautiful, melodic sound. It's on my playlist and it's on a continual play. I love it so much. And of course, Michael McDonald he wrote a song with you, didn't he, on the album?
On the record.
My Place in the Sun.
Johnny Lang.
Yes.
Of course, my buddy Clint Black.
Yeah.
And again, the whole idea on the record was if you want to play on the record, and they were very gracious, they all came and said, we would like to do something with you. I said, okay, but the deal is you have to come and write with myself and CJ, and you have to do something that's very different than you've ever done, out of your wheelhouse.
Oh, that was your remit.
Completely different.
Right.
And so the Clint Black song, obviously, that's not country.
No.
And the Johnny Lang tune part of it is a heavy, hard rockin' tune.
Yeah.
And the Michael McDonald tune nobody has been able to really describe what that is. It's just that we're getting tremendous amount of compliments on it.
It's a beautiful song.
Because Michael really, his emotion in that song is
It is a very emotive song, song. And that's what I like about the album, Jeff, because it's so different. Every song, you couldn't really say, it's this genre. Every single track on that album is a different track. Was that intentional, or was that just the way things panned out?
Well, I'm going to quote you on that and publish that in the New York Times. Because when I first went out with this record, it's the usual, is there a theme to the record? Yeah, me? It just sounds like there's so many different things going on, there's no real focus. I said, Okay, well, thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Thinking, that's stupid.
Yeah.
And you just reaffirmed the fact that whatever he's thinking is going down the wrong road here.
Absolutely.
As Dr. John would say, it might have been the right place, but it must have been the wrong time. These people are thinking.
Yeah, they do think in a box, don't they?
Yeah.
And they like to put,
Yeah.
I think musicians, they like to put musicians in a box, don't they? You're that
Well,
genre,
marketing,
you're that.
yeah, you know the game. You've been in the game for a
From a
long time.
marketing perspective, I suppose it's easier, but hey-ho, it doesn't matter.
But
Now,
you've reaffirmed my...
well, there we are. I'm
faith.
glad I did. That's
Thank
it.
you.
And what about the tour itself? Are you enjoying the tour? You said, I know that you're touring a lot at the moment. It must be hard work.
We've been going out. We've probably done, 6 or 7 tours now.
Yeah.
And each one just gets better and better and better. It's a treat to play with real killer musicians.
Yeah.
Keyboard player Freddie Ravel. He's with Chick Corea and Stanley Clarke and Earth, Wind and Fire and Carlos Santana. I mean, the guy is no lightweight. The drummer, Mark Damian, is an incredible drummer. Drummers who come to the show say, "Where's this guy from?" And we say, "Well, he's from California, originally from the Midwest, but he can play, and he can play in a pocket." And that's hard to do for a lot of drummers. Our bass player is a wonderful singer, killer bass player, and just happens to be the bass player for the Detroit Symphony. So everybody in the band is fearsome. So when we play, we arrange the songs so there's plenty of room to improvise. Well, nobody knows what's going to happen next, but you have, you know the format of the songs, but then it just opens up. And the fact that I'm with such incredibly talented musicians, I know my parachute's going to open no matter what.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when you're on the stage, Jeff, do you go off in a tangent? Do you suddenly break out into a solo guitar spot, and the drummer goes off and does a drumming solo? Is that how?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. In Juliet, as a matter of fact, not that long ago, I just thought somehow or other this fits with a piece of Beethoven, so I started to play. Da, 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 da. Of course, Freddie, being classically trained, and Hank, all over it. So we just went off, did a little Beethoven for a while, and then
how great,
and came back to the song. But it fit with the song perfectly.
Yeah. Do you suddenly think, oh, hang on, we've got an audience here. We need to focus on. But you see, the audience will love that. They will love that.
They do. They seem to appreciate it.
Exactly, because lots of musicians, they just stick to their song, which is fine. But, when you've got enough talent and you've got the gravitas and you've done it for as long as you guys have, we don't say older, we say wiser. You can do that, can't you? And get away with it, really, I suppose. You trust your wingman. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, well, it's good. So is there another album? Do you think there'll be another album? Will you do another solo album?
I'm not going to wait 13 years, but I've been already doing a little bit of writing and thinking about where I want to go with this. Yeah, I hope so.
Is there anybody that you'd like to collaborate with that you haven't collaborated with so far?
Jimmy Jam, those guys, I know them from the work that I've done at Roland Corporation, the musical instrument company.
Yeah.
We became friends. They showed up at my Grammys thing. Really great guys.
Yeah.
Brian Hardgroove,
right.
Brian, the bass player and producer for Public Enemy. We've been working together on some stuff, just seeing, again, who knows where this is going to go.
Yeah.
But to sit down and write another ballad, I don't want to do that.
No.
So I've been looking around for people a little maybe 1 or 2 degrees removed to try some and have some fun.
Try something new.
I want to do a classical piece.
I can see you doing that because there was, as you say, there was definitely that in this album. There was this kind of, you lean towards the classical. It was really, really lovely. So I could see you doing that. Maybe you could take some classical music, classical music, and put a spin on it.
Pick a piece of Beethoven or because I'm a big Beethoven fan.
Yeah.
Some years ago in Washington, D.C. at the Kennedy Center, at the Choral Arts celebration they do every year.
Yeah.
110-piece choir, orchestra, the whole deal. They were very kind. They said, we'd like you to would you like to perform? I said, okay. Would you play Silent Night? I said, sure, if you get me a copy of the original manuscript from the Smithsonian Institution.
Right.
Because it's slightly different than what people now. So I got a chance to play off that, and I said, and I want to do Oh Holy Night on pedal steel with the orchestra.
Oh, wow.
And the guy said, in a heartbeat.
That would be amazing.
So we did it, and it came out, I think, very well, and pushed me to the idea, with guys like Freddie and Hank, why don't we do a classical piece or a couple and see where that goes?
And
but do it on pedal steel and bass synth and, just try something different.
And have you got a favourite place, Jeff, where you like to play? Where you like to practice, where do you go? Presumably you've got your own studio that you go to, but is there anywhere, do you take yourself off anywhere to write or do any of your music?
Whoever's got the gear.
Yeah.
And a couple of cold beers, we're good to go. As far as playing live, I think one of my most favorite places is the Iridium in New York. I used to play with Les Paul there all the time.
Right.
And see, I'm older than everybody in this room. So back in the day when I was a kid, I used to play in wedding bands and bar mitzvah bands, casual stuff with a bunch of really older guys. And my job was to stand up and play a Johnny B. Good song every 20 songs. Meanwhile, I had a stack of fake books, which was, it was illegal in the sense that they were sheet music that was compiled kind of off the record, so to speak. Yeah. So I learned all the standards. So when, and I got to know Les when I was a kid, and we've been, we were friends ever since until he passed away. Yeah. And we would play together. He'd call me up and say, come on down, they've already been playing. Absolutely. What do you want to do? I said, he said, let's do Black Shiny Stockings, Take the A Train, On Green Dolphin Street, Baubles, Bagels, and Beads. Because all the other guitar players who would go down and play with them, who are great players, but they just don't know the standards. I remember Les said one time, he said, Skunk, I'm doing this VH1 special. None of these people know any songs. Okay, what do you want to do? Well, said, all right, you got to play bass. They're not bass players on these songs. All right, Les, whatever you want. But the idea that I got a chance to play with Les all the time, enjoy each other, and it was like frickin' frack. It was a comedy routine. Because as we're playing, there was a point when I was a kid, I worked out this song in Lover, which was a Les Paul Mary Ford song. And it was really difficult, and it took me forever to figure out. So we did Lover once, and I played it, and he starts laughing his ass off. Les, what's so funny? He says, that part, I sped that part up to twice speed. I played it at half the speed. So, and he was just laughing because I didn't know that. I just thought he was playing it, so I was going to learn it.
Yeah, that's right.
But hey,
it works.
Les is an inspiration.
It's good. It's so lovely that you're still in contact with so many of these great musicians, and that you work together.
The Ventures, again, got to play with them, produce them. Those guys were my heroes when I was a kid.
And you went to the Palladium, didn't you? You played in London at the Palladium. Now,
with James Burton.
Yes, how was that?
And Brian May. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I could imagine.
And James, I've known James since a million years. And we play a lot alike in the country vein. So it's good fun to play together.
Would you consider coming to the UK and doing a tour in the UK?
I would. We're actually starting to explore that.
No, fantastic.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that people would come and see you, Jeff. I'm sure.
You're very kind.
I'm sure that they would. But it's music obviously has been your life, your whole life. But you also do other things as well. So tell us about SME. Now I've got it written down. It's the National Security Subject Matter Expert, known as SME. So you also do that. Now I know that it's a national security, so you can't tell me exactly what you do, but you enjoy that as well, don't you? We spoke about it last time I was interviewing you.
It's an honor to serve my country. Yeah. And by the way, just a quick disclaimer, anything I say, I don't represent the U.S. government in anything I say. It's all my personal opinion. Okay. But it's an honor, and I love my country. And I've been able to do this now for almost 30 years. And it brings me great satisfaction. And it also helps me in some way try to mold the future for my kids, because it's getting a little weird.
Yeah.
So it gives me an opportunity to actually be actively involved.
That's good. And how long have you been doing that now, Jeff?
About 30 years.
Yeah, so a long time. So people, I mean, I remember when I interviewed you first, I had no idea before I obviously did my research. I didn't know that about you. So is that something that you deliberately kind of kept in the background?
Well,
or was it just the nature of the business?
I'm not big on me.
Yeah.
You know, I know we live in a world where it's all about me.
Yeah.
No, I just do my job, and I'm happy to do it. There is, sometimes people get confused with national security and politics.
Yeah.
They can't separate them. I'm not a political animal. I'm a patriot, and I serve my country. So I don't wear it on my sleeve, because, again, sometimes it confuses people. They immediately begin to take a side. And so, no, it's not about that.
Yeah.
You know, I took an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States for everybody, no matter who they are or what they do.
And it's something that you do, and obviously you clearly enjoy it. And do you see yourself doing that until whenever?
I do.
Yeah.
As long as they want me to serve, I'm in.
And I mean, we are in a funny world at the moment. The world is a very strange world. You know, there's a lot going on in our world. And do you fear for the future, especially for the children?
I do, because the nature of warfare has changed. Oh, let's put it this way. Much of it is the same, but it has taken on new dimensions. For instance, cognitive warfare. You'll say, well, what is that? Well, if I can influence the neurotransmitters in your brain to create a set of emotions that I control, I can basically do anything I want to you.
That's very scary. Yeah.
And that's the world that we're getting into. It's the world of TikTok. What's happening to children? Yeah. I mean, you look at TikTok in China, and it's all about math, science, patriotism. Okay. But TikTok here is about body shaming for young girls. And there's something going on. Yeah. It's like digital heroin. It's very frightening.
It is. And with the AI, of course.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, one half of me really, really loves it, because I think this is incredible, what they could do for science and for medical purposes. But the other side of it, the dark side of it, it scares the hell out of me, I have to say.
Well, it should scare the hell out of you until such time as people can wrap their head around it. It's the Wild West, as we refer to in America. Yeah. There's really no rules, no anything. So if I wanted to produce an image of you, sample your voice, I could create you, and nobody would know the difference.
I know, that's what scares me.
Yeah.
And we're starting to see that, aren't we? We're seeing more and more now. It was we didn't see that at all, but suddenly we are seeing more and more where, presenters, people in the media, celebrities. Yeah. I think Taylor Swift was recently just in the press for exactly that, where they're wearing T-shirts which are quite political, or, doing something which wouldn't be them at all. But of course, it's how does the public know the difference between the AI model and the real thing? Unless
somebody's willing to acknowledge it. Yeah. Now, when Tupac goes on tour now, or Michael Jackson, everybody understands that both those gentlemen are deceased, and the images that they see are pretty much, for the most part, they know that they're computer-generated CGI, computer-generated imagery. Yeah. But so that shows you where it's going, or what direction it's going. Yeah. The question is, where is it going?
I know, that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And where do you think it's going?
I think it's going to be pretty much unbounded and very very much unregulated for quite a period of time. Because if you try to look to government to understand and be responsible and act responsibly legislatively, for instance, in terms of technology, it takes it forever. It's like when you stretch a rubber band, it takes a long time for the ass end of that rubber band to catch up.
Yeah.
And that's really what government is about. That there are very few people that really understand it and therefore can't knowledgeably create any kind of legislation or any kind of regulation that makes sense because they don't know what they're talking about.
I think that's the scary thing. And for people just, watching this, that is the scary thing. There doesn't seem to be able to regulate it. Can we regulate it, Jeff? Is there going to be a regulation on it, do you think?
Well, the good news is technology is a double-edged sword. For every offense, there's a defense.
Yeah.
It just sometimes takes a little while to catch up. I mean, we had missiles, military armed missiles.
Yeah.
And people said, the world's doomed. But we managed to build a missile defense system. Talked to any Israeli that was living in Tel Aviv a few months ago.
Yeah.
I guess that works okay. Yeah. So it just takes a little while for things to catch up. And it will take a while for the technology to catch up to how you will identify a CGI or an AI-generated anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, what's going to get very interesting is the movie houses, movie production houses, for instance.
Well, this is the thing, yes.
At one time, they were collecting all the dialogue from all their famous actors.
Yeah.
Thinking in the future, they'll splice it all together.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Now they don't have to. All you need is a 3 or 4 second sample, and you can recreate the voice exactly. Gosh. So, if you're a musician, and you're writing music for movies, now we're starting to see more and more AI-generated music, so that the production houses won't have to pay musicians anymore. They'll generate their own, and the copyright laws. Oh yeah, we own this. Pay us. And then the next step is completely artificial art, which I know that art, at least from my perspective and your perspective, you look at a painting, look at a Van Gogh or a Matisse or a Monet, it moves you in a certain way because it was created by a human being who was basically communicating.
That's right.
The question is, when does it get to the point where an AI-generated brain can understand and manipulate the neurotransmitters in your brain to create that emotion? And we're getting there. Kurzweil is always talking about the singularity. We're getting there.
Gosh. Well, we're going to leave it there for just a moment and take a break. But so stay with us and come back and join us in just a minute. Hello, welcome back to the show. I'm Monica Price, and you're with me here today with Jeff Skunk Baxter. Jeff, lovely to see you.
Hey, it's great
We've been having a great conversation. Now, just before the break, we were talking about AI and all the things and the problems that possibly could bring in the future. But I also want to talk to you about, you work for the Potomac Institute for Policy Studies.
Yes,
is this your another day job that you do? Jeff, tell us about that. What is that?
Well, Potomac Institute is a well-known institute. It's in Washington, D.C., actually in Virginia, but in Washington, D.C. And basically what we do is we do studies, much of which we do for the U.S. Congress, on different subjects, whatever it may be. Certainly one of the areas that I'm on the Board of Regents and also a senior fellow there, and much of what I concentrate on is space warfare, the future of what space means. And I get to work with some incredible people, and it makes me smarter. I'm just a dumb guitar player. I don't know anything. So if I hang around smart people long enough, I learn a couple things.
But it must be fascinating, though. I find that fascinating because, people would look at you and didn't know that. Maybe even after the interview today, they might think, what's this? They might know about the Institute, but wouldn't put you there with the Institute.
Well, I think there's something to be said for creative people.
Yeah.
Being able to look past the boundaries that, I mean, I work with some very smart people in the military, and a lot of times they are trained and focused in a certain way, not really to deviate. And there are reasons for that, mostly good reasons. But I think really creative people, when given loose leash, a perfect example is Brian May.
Yes, absolutely.
Brian just got his PhD in astrophysics.
Right. He does, yes.
If I got this right, Brian's thesis coach was a very good friend of my old boss at Lawrence Livermore. No. So it's this small world.
You see? Yeah.
But again, Brian is a very creative guy. And if you're a musician, that means you are kind of in the world of physics. And we could someday we'll do an interview about a connection between physics and music.
We touched on that actually in our last interview.
Yeah, we did.
Because in fact, the speed of heat came from, it's a physics really, wasn't it?
It's a term to describe a certain behavior.
We'll definitely talk about that in another show, because and again, it's fascinating that people do. And when I remember when you were explaining it to me then, the connection was there in front, but I'd never really seen it or even thought about it before. So, but you obviously enjoy it. Again, it's something else that you enjoy doing. You enjoy working with them. Again,
I get to contribute. I worry about my kids. I worry about the future. And I figure Lieutenant Colonel John Boyd, U.S. Air Force, he passed away some years ago. He changed the whole concept of strategic thinking. He changed the concept of air combat. And they hated him because he was right. And so he invented the OODA loop. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No, tell us about it.
Observe, orient, decide, and act. It's a very simple algorithm that you can apply to cleaning dog poop off the carpet, or figuring out a way to work the orbital dynamics around the moon. You start with something that gets you at least moving in the right direction. And John Boyd, he said, you can do one of two things. You can either be somebody or you can do something. And I always thought, okay, well, to be somebody is okay, but to do something seems to me to be the correct path. So with the Potomac Institute and the opportunities and the privilege that I have to serve, I'm just trying to do something.
I think it's wonderful. I really do. But we're going to leave it there for now and talk about back to your musical career. Now, you've got lots of things actually I want to talk about. You did the PBS. Tell us about that. You did live. Where were you? Down in Nashville?
Yes.
Yes. So tell us about that.
There's a wonderful show that they do out of the Hutton Hotel in Nashville. They have a venue called the Analog Room. And PBS has been doing a show from that room. Slash did it, Mike McDonald did it, a few other folks. And so when they asked me if I would be interested in doing it, I said, sure, in a heartbeat.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we took the band to Nashville and set up in the room and did a PBS special, which will be out in a couple of months. And I invited some friends. We did Steely Dan tune, Ricky Don't Lose That Number. Great. But I thought, what would happen if a woman sang it?
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. So we had an incredible singer named Lauren Morrow come and sing it, and everybody just melted. I mean, yes, that was a good call.
Yeah.
And then I had the Nelsons there, Gunnar and Matt Nelson, Ricky Nelson's kids, because I used to play with Ricky Nelson. I watched the kids grow up, and we've been friends ever since. So I had them come up and sing. I had Slim Jim from the Stray Cats come up, and Rome from the band Sublime came up to sing our version of China Grove. And it was just an insane night of fun and music. And I don't know, I just finished doing the post-production. I'm really happy with it.
Fantastic.
Hopefully it'll come across the pond.
I was going to say, is it going to come across the pond? Who knows?
I don't know.
We'll make it come across the pond. That's it. But you see, things like that, you still clearly love doing things like that.
Well, I'll leave that up to you.
Yeah, I will.
You'll figure out a way.
I'm sure. Now, tell us about the cruise. You're going on this Rock Legends cruise. And what a lineup. You've got, well, Alex Cooper, of course, Alex Cooper. You've got Styx, Jason Bonham. So, that's John Bonham's son. So, the list is unbelievable. So, again, how did that come about, Jeff?
Again, I just got a call.
I love it.
Said, do you want to do this? I looked at it and I said, yeah, I know most of the people. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I'm in. Yeah. Sure. I think it's in February of next year. It is, February
2025. And you're going from Miami to, you start at Miami and you go to the Bahamas. Mm-hmm. Where else would you go? Yeah. And then presumably it's a few days. I'm assuming it's a few days.
Something like that.
It's great. And then all these stars, do you all play a night? Is that how it's going to work? Or you all just...
I'm not sure what the dynamics are. Together? But since, I got so many good friends there, Tommy Shaw and Alice Cooper.
It's going to be a hoot. You're just going to say...
I think what's going to happen...
It's going to be mayhem.
There's going to be a whole lot of intermarriage here with everybody playing music with everybody else, which to me is more fun than anything.
But how lovely, because it'll be an opportunity again for, some really great artists that all get together.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds like it's going to be just a lot of fun, Jeff.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I should imagine.
And so is the band.
Is this your first cruise to do this
First one
sort
I've
of
ever
thing?
done like this,
It's funny because cruises have become very popular, haven't they?
I guess
and
so.
Lots more, bigger artists are actually going. It's always been known that they would do somewhere like Las Vegas, of course, but now bigger artists are actually going on the cruise ships.
Oh, this would be my first one. I mean, I've been on big ships, but the ones I've been on launch airplanes and shoot missiles.
Yeah, that's right.
So this is going to be different. They got a swimming pool.
Yeah, okay. And you've got all-you-can-eat food.
Although U.S. Navy has good food, I'm not knocking.
Yes,
but I'm looking forward to this.
It'd be great. And then so people can find that out and and book to go on this cruise. And I know that the booking's going very well. There's only a few spaces left.
It seems that they're telling me that if I have any friends, better
get them on quick. Yeah. Get them up quick, we're going to go. And what about, anything else that you'd like to do, Jeff? Is there anything else that you'd like to do? I mean, you do so much, obviously you've got all your work that you do for the military, part of SME, you do your music. Is there anything else that you'd like to do? Would you like to take up pottery or something like that? Yes. What would you like to do? Anything?
What I like to do, one thing I would like to do is go back to building guitars.
Oh, wow.
I really miss that. I enjoyed that when I was in my younger days.
Yeah.
Now there really hasn't been much time.
Yeah.
And of course I would have to find a spot where I could have all the tools necessary to do that.
Yeah.
I still do a little bit of guitar electronic customizing for friends. I still work for Roland, and this is my 50th year with the Roland Corporation.
Really?
Incredible group of people. They've given me so much leeway to experiment and try things. But every guitar I ever repaired, including the first ones I did when I was about 15 or 16, are all guaranteed for life. So every once in a while I get a call. I got a call from Cooch, Danny Korchmar, a couple of years ago. He says, Skunk, you remember that Telecaster you did for me in 1967? And I went, yeah, I do, actually. He says, well, these guys screwed it up. Could you put it back the way it was? Yeah, I think I remember how to do that. I got a big box of parts. I'll give it to me. And it's guaranteed for life, So why not?
Yeah, well, and again,
you got to back up your work.
Exactly, you got to do it. And how do you go about making a guitar? I wouldn't know where to begin. A piece of wood?
You start with a 6-foot board, and you go from there.
Yeah. In fact, didn't Brian May make his own guitar?
I'm sorry?
Didn't Brian May make his own guitar? Yeah. In fact, I think he's still got one that he made that he uses. It's kind of a favourite.
Yeah.
I suppose that's, for a musician, that's something that must be very special. If you make a guitar and then go around the world with the guitar and produce great hits with that guitar.
Everything you want.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I can imagine. And what about the kids, who are coming through the music business now? Jeff, do you see the music industry changing at all? Do you think with the AI that we've been talking about and just music in general, is there a shift, or do you think music is just being music and it's just gonna carry on being creative and things will change and genres change and music has changed. It has, hasn't it?
I mean, the big change came with MTV. because up until from the dawn of mankind, when the first guy took a thigh bone from a saber-toothed starter and banging it on a log, to about the mid-'70s, when MTV really came to the fore, music was a personal thing. People created images in their own mind of music. I don't know if you've ever seen Fantasia,
I have,
but that was an attempt by Walt Disney's people to try to create images generated by music. The problem is now, instead of you having a different opinion of Juliet, if you saw a video of that, you and I would now have the same vision. It would take a little bit away from your ability to enjoy, put in your creative piece. Then along came Napster and the ability for people to download music for virtually for nothing. So it took the financial incentive, or probably the wrong word, the financial opportunity out of the music business to be able to sell albums, because now you really can't make any money. You can make money from publishing and writing, but the album thing is very difficult, so it only leaves live music. Now that's the downside. The upside is, with the internet and the ability to reach out to anyone on the planet, with your music, you can reach just about anyone. It's difficult sometimes to find out how to get to that person, but there are quite a few people out there that search and are interested. So they will come across what you do, and then you can make your own CD. Or you can stream, and you can do that. So it's a double-edged sword, but the business of music as we knew it when I was growing up, that's gone.
And do you think that's a good thing? I mean, change happens, doesn't it? We have to have change. But do you think that's a change that maybe is not such a good thing?
I suppose I'm of two minds. Number one, from the downside, there was an established methodology, as flawed as it was, for a record company signing a band. And by the way, that was an unsecured loan that you never had to pay back. So if a record company said, we're going to sign you and we're going to put money into you, if it's a flop, you don't have to pay it back. So it offered all kinds of opportunity. They would then spend the time and the effort, blood, treasure, to get it on the radio. People would listen to it, and if they liked it, they called their DJ and said, I love this band, and play it more and more and more. And it became, again, with all its flaws and bumps, it was a fairly well-established pathway. Now, that doesn't really exist. Radio is so formatted, and there are very, very few, if any, radio stations where DJs have the opportunity to play what they want.
Yes. It's the same in the UK.
Gone. Well, sure.
Yeah, in the UK, you have radio stations and they play the same song over and over and over again. It's just it's almost like on a loop. So is it the same here in the US?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And most of it's classic rock.
Yeah.
Which for me is okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Because you make 3 cents off of every play.
But it doesn't allow the new up-and-coming musicians to get any airtime at all, does it?
Very difficult.
And then you're relying on the radio stations that are streaming, the ones that are going underground or whatever. But, we have those in the UK and they're very good. But they're still subject to, oh, no, we've got to do this, we've got to play this. And it all comes down to money, doesn't it, really? All comes down to money.
When I was a kid, if Stax Volt put out a record, I just buy it because of the label.
Yeah.
Because I knew who was on, I loved that music. Same thing with Atlantic. Absolutely. R&B, I just bought it.
Yeah.
So there was a kind of a relationship. Now there is some relationship to local bands playing in local clubs. And if they have a following and they're smart, they develop a database, do mailings, emailings of their performances and stuff. They do a lot of what the record company originally did in their sort of their public relations department. But I'm not old school, but I do miss that because I thought again, with all the bumps and all the flaws, there were record companies actively seeking new talent. They were going out there, were paying people to go out there and find you. That's kind of cool. Yeah. Now I'm not sure that's the name of the game anymore.
I think because I interview other young musical artists, and the way that they're discovered is usually through YouTube. Is posting it on YouTube
social
or
media.
Post it on social media. And there's been many artists that have been discovered that way.
Yeah, and that's good.
Which is great, as you say.
That's a whole new way that didn't exist before. Yeah.
But as you say, the talent scouters are just they I don't know, they do exist, I'm not entirely sure, but they certainly, that doesn't seem to wait for a new up and coming musician. Certainly when I talk to them, that that it's a double-edged sword. Just as you said, they love all the exposure which social media can give them. However, the drawback is they do everything themselves. They're the manager, the producer, the director, everything is being done by them, which would have been done by the record label.
Well, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
And the good news is, if it really doesn't work, it'll fall apart.
Yeah.
Something else will take its place.
And what about, because lots of music now is synced into films. So they have, the BPI run the Sync mission, for example, here in LA. And, with that, it gives an opportunity for musicians to put their music into films and to Netflix and all the other big things.
But that's difficult too, because again, the movie production houses have a music supervisor. Yeah. And the question is, how do you get to the music supervisor? I've gone into a number of music supervisors' office, and there's just stacks of cassettes that'll never get listened to. So again, do you have an agent? Do you have somebody that can represent you? A manager, an attorney, somebody who is connected somewhere and has the ability to pick up the phone and say, hey, I'd like you to listen to this artist for this. So it's doable, but it's not, I wouldn't say it is, it's common. Too bad.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's a struggle. So how about for you next, Jeff? What's next, Jeff, for you? What do you see yourself doing next? Obviously, you've got the cruise, of course, which we've spoken about. And another album, as you've said, that's in the making.
Yeah, I'd like to do another record. Yeah. Because, again, I'm amazed anybody cares what I do. So people seem to like it, so I'll take a shot.
I'll do that.
And try something different again. I'm going to go down the same road. Yeah. Obviously, the record companies, most of them didn't get it. Yeah. You got it right away. Yeah. So I'm assuming that if I did another record, you'd at least be interested one time to see what it is.
Absolutely.
So I'll do that. Again, I like to start building guitars again. I miss that. I like touring. I like going out and playing.
You've got to come to the UK.
I would love to.
Got to come to the UK.
I would love to, and I'll mention it again. We've been thinking about it. There's number one. There's been a huge resurgence in the sort of Steely Dan.
Oh, there has 100%.
And maybe that would be helpful. In the UK.
It's funny, I always think everything goes in cycles.
Yes.
And with music as well. Your music is suddenly, because definitely in the UK, your music is played more. I hear a lot more Steely Dan now than I ever did. And it's also very popular in Europe as well, your music. So
maybe that's a portent of the future.
There we are, you see? You can go there. So we're going to be playing one of your songs in this show. So which one would you like us to play?
Well...
Have you got a favourite?
Tell you what, I know you love Juliet.
I do.
And you're going to be playing that all the time anyway, so I don't have to worry about that. There is a song, The Rose.
Okay, yeah.
I did this years ago. Again, not to get into too much stories, but here we go.
No, go.
I was on the board of advisors for Guitar Player magazine. They did their 25th anniversary big gala. Yeah. And they asked me to play something when they... rolled by the photographs of our colleagues that have passed on. So I thought about it, and I thought, well, wait a minute. I heard The Rose on the radio. I thought, what a beautiful melody this is. Lyrics are nice, but the melody is really beautiful. So I thought, I'm going to do an a cappella pedal steel rendition of that. So I went out on stage, and they started rolling the photographs, and I started to play it. And I got to the end of the first verse, and Adrian Belew came out. And I love Ader. He's an old friend, a great guitar player.
Yeah.
And he plugged in. And by the time I got to the end of the second verse, I had a guitar player, a keyboard player, a bass player, and we kept playing the song. So I thought, wait a minute, there's something about this that's really special. And I think people understood and connected it with honoring, those that have gone before us.
Yeah.
So when I did it on the record, number one, I wanted to feature the sound of the pedal steel, just the pedal steel, nothing else. So I did the whole first verse, a cappella. Just the sound of the instrument is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, I got to do something for my dad, because, I can tell him how much I care for him. And he was buried in Arlington Cemetery, full military honors and all that. But I didn't really know how to personally communicate. So I thought, this is going to be for my dad. This is going to be my way of honoring him. So that's why I did the song.
So we've got to play that song now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much.
Pleasure is mine.
Take care.
Thanks for having me back.
Thank you. That's it for today's show. So thank you so much for joining me. Come back and join me again very soon. Bye-bye for now.